I really want to talk about white fatigue. Okay, white fatigue is, for me, the duplicitous nature within many white people. You see, white people, for example, will say, oh, I don't see color. You know, I don't see color at all. It's not about race. It's not about race. But these will be the same people who will be eyeing you, who will be observing you all the time, like watching you, watching your mannerism, watching your movements, judging you, just looking at you almost like an experiment. I live in probably what might be deemed as a white environment. I'm a homeowner. Many homeowners in my environment are white families. The vibes I get is, you know, when they acknowledge and see a black person who owns a home, I acknowledge a sense of envy, you know, or jealousy, you know, and I understand it, because you got this child of an immigrant or child of a migrant who has no real history in the country, in your country, who has managed to perhaps surpass you in maybe earnings or in the size of the house and stuff like that. You know, yes, I live in a bigger house than most other houses in my environment. It's almost like damned if you do, damned if you don't as a black person. You know, if you are living in the so-called ghettos, you are judged. And if you do well for yourself, you are judged. And that might be you being stereotyped as maybe you were some entertainer, a rapper who has retired or something, or maybe you were an athlete. So the theme of white fatigue is that there's just so much judgment. White people that think like this create their own issues. They create the problems that they label black fatigue, because when black people experience this subliminal racism, right, it's like a covert racism, they naturally feel uneasy around you. You know, they naturally put up defenses against you. They can't trust you. They don't want to really be, you know, like neighborly with you, you know. And that's another thing. Many white people complain or talk about, oh, black people aren't involved. They don't get involved in the community. They keep to themselves. They don't come out to the pubs. They don't try to enjoy our English culture. But again, why would they want to go out to the pub and stuff when you are observing them? You are making them feel uncomfortable. You really create a tension around black people. You are uneasy around black people. And I'm not complaining about that. It's your right to not like or not associate with whoever you don't want to associate with. But all I'm saying is that you can't complain about so-called black fatigue when your behavior and mannerism is creating the tensions that make black people act in a very defensive way when they deal with you. You are part of the problem. To add insult to injury, it's many racist people, like outwardly far-right racist people, that are talking about black fatigue. So now we have people who espouse violence or people who appraise the abuse of black peoples historically now complaining about so-called black fatigue. Like, you need to think about that for a second. You got people, you know, so black people have endured a lot in the hands of white racists and racism, right? From slavery, brutal slavery, right from the onset. Now, of course, I'm not excusing the behaviors of the Africans who traded with the Europeans, but in the hands of the Europeans and the white people, slaves were treated like animals. So for centuries, black people have endured this behavior. And even after freeing the slaves, they have to deal with civil rights and inequality, right? People who historically were not educated, did not own their own homes, could not get work, could not be housed. Now you are complaining that they are in that situation, but that was a situation you created for them. And so generations later, yes, there are going to be side effects of the slavery that you benefited from, the slavery that makes America the strongest nation on earth. You know, you can't complain about black fatigue when you support the very things that put these people in a position and in a situation that ghettoizes them, that makes them prone to being a criminal. Yes, of course, they're going to steal from you if they don't have anything to eat. Of course, as a person should. It's our natural instinct to survive. If I can't eat, if my kids can't eat, I'm going to steal. Yeah. But white people, and obviously I'm speaking mostly about American, to be honest, this is probably American fatigue. You know, I'm kind of fed up of the racialized disharmony and loud voices from America, to be honest. The George Floyds, all the corruption, the police killing, the KKK, and now all these other people on the podcast like Nick Fuentes. It's American fatigue. America, your history is so rancid, and it is built upon bloodshed. You know, most other places in the world was built on commonality, relatability. Of course there were wars, but we naturally melded together as people. America, places like America, Australia, Canada, it was straight up bloodshed, you know. And I find it ironic that these people who have this lineage now complain about feeling you know, some sort of tiredness against the people that they destroyed or the people that they abused, and still to this day can abuse because they control the institutions. So again, while I understand what black fatigue is, I'm sorry, like, white people can't be absolved for their problems that has caused this. And the examples I put in this video are just everyday quote unquote microaggressions that I tell black people to basically don't ignore microaggressions, but don't let it get to you. You know, I want black people to have a strong mindset and to not be put off and to not be distracted by behaviors from people who are insignificant, who don't mean much to you, right? They are not important. Yeah, if that white person crosses the road because they believe you're some thug or something, let them do that. Just continue on. Just laugh at it. But to be honest, at the end of the day, there is this feedback will create an image of the person or the people doing this. There are consequences to behaviors, as we all know. If you're going to treat people like this, even on a benign, covert way, you know, human beings, we are not stupid. We clock onto this. And so that's why sometimes, I'm not saying all people, but some of you, when you encounter some black people, yeah, they act like they have a chip on their shoulder. They act or respond to you in a very defensive posture because their experiences is dealing with people who showcase a level of distrust and no empathy towards them. No empathy at all. You can be walking with a kid in a pushchair, no empathy for you, you know. And it's this apathy that I see in some white people, again, not all, but some, that create the tensions that they are now complaining about in the form of quote unquote black fatigue. White people can't be off the hook. White people add to this dilemma and the dynamic that they are now complaining about. So while I recognize and understand what black fatigue is, to be honest, I don't really want to hear it coming from a lot of white people, to be honest. I think it's when white people talk about black fatigue, you need to have a level of rationality, you know, sanity and understanding of history, you know, understand cause and effect. If you are a racist or you have racist beliefs or ideas, or maybe you're just on the fence, maybe you're not full-blown racist, but you have your opinions and your biases, right? Yeah, people pick up on that, and that's going to affect how they relate with you. That's going to affect how they want to live with you. And that's going to affect you. It's going to come back to bite you on the bum, because unfortunately, no, you can't just get rid of a whole group of people. That can never happen. You can't now try to deport people who are generations deep in this country. That's never going to happen. So the best case scenario for you, sure, if you want to run away, try and live somewhere else, go to Spain or Australia or something, do that. But if you have to live around people, you're going to have to learn to deal with them. All right. And that's the lesson from this video. You're going to have to learn to deal with different people. That goes for black people as well. You're going to have to learn to deal with different people. I'm against black people who live like phantoms. They live like they don't belong in the society. Hood up, just walking by themselves, like not interacting with the world. No, you're going to have, if you want some level of success in your environment, you need people for that. So you're going to have to interact. You're going to have to understand. You're going to have to work with people. And that will include white people, yes, as the majority demographic. So you can't afford to be goofy when it comes to race. You know, you can't afford to feel insecure or insignificant when it's time to speak to white people. You know, and so this is why race is just so messy to talk about, you know, because there is no right and wrong side. It's all people that have quirks or fears that creates ignorance. However you paint it, black fatigue, white fatigue, it's people, probably American fatigue, but people in general are just ignorant. And this is why people really become lone wolves. You know, they say that the more intelligent you are, the less friends you have. And I understand that, because most people, there is a bell curve, right? And most people in the middle of that bell curve are prone to intimidation, fear, letting their fears get to you, a lack of emotional control. You know, I can't imagine, say for example, a Chinese man ran me down in his car. I can't imagine using that example, or, you know, the actions of that one man, and now all of a sudden hating the whole Chinese ethnic group. You know, to someone with my intelligence level, that is ridiculous behavior. But there are many people out there that have that mentality, black or white. If a white person does something to you, now you think all white people are going to do that to you. If a black person does something to you, now you think all black people are going to do that to you. You know, it's just very pathetic. This is why I just can't, I'm getting too old to deal with these types of people. A lot of people, and you know, I have a martial arts background, and that has afforded me some levels of mental control and dealing with anxiety and fears and stress and pressure. Most people don't have that experience. Most people are untrained. You know, most people give in to their fears. And this is how we create a society that is just the way it is now. But I know this was a tangent, but I hope it was beneficial, and I hope you understand. If you don't understand anything that I said, let me know your thoughts. Comment in the comment section below. Check out the first message pinned in this video. Check out the Discord. Like and subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you in the next one.